Every year, the NFL draft brings promise of a superstar who can be a savior to struggling teams. But as we've seen with players like Jamarcus Russell, Brian Bosworth, and Tony Mandarich, success in the college game doesn't always mean success in the NFL. I'm Anthony Collins, and I'm joined by ESPN NFL insider Bill Polian. Now, Bill, pro prospects are constantly evaluated, whether it's through game film, through the NFL Combine, or pro days. But with all this analysis, tell us, what are teams missing that these players result in a draft bust?
Well, you can't predict what's in here. And that was the case with the Jamarcus Russell. He just wouldn't do the work necessary to be a professional athlete. He let himself go and had weight problems, etc. The other reason people fail, and which you cannot predict, is how they're going to process information in a combative situation very quickly. The NFL is worlds different than the college game. The average fan doesn't think that because they look the same on television, and then we hear all the hype about these players as we lead up to the draft. But remember, we're talking about these players compared to their peers in college, not grown men they're going to play against in the NFL. And oftentimes, you get a player who gets into the NFL and he can't process quickly enough, and he's a step behind, and he doesn't make it. That was the case with the Boz. In terms of their body betraying them, that can happen too. There are a lot of players who come into the NFL and they can't stand up to the grind of 16 games, 4 preseason games, 1 padded practice every week over 25 weeks. That gets tough. And that was the case with Tony Mandarich, who actually had a great second career with us in Indianapolis, but whose body gave out on him. So those 3 areas are why people fail most often, and they are the hardest to predict.
Now, Bill, I got to ask, take us back through your decision in 1998 when you choose to draft Peyton Manning instead of Ryan Leaf, who became one of the NFL's biggest busts.
Yeah, unfortunately. He's had a tough road to hoe. I feel sorry for him. When we went through the whole pre-draft process, which was very different than what fans see on TV, it was a lot of grinding of tape, working both players out, going back all the way into their high school careers to try and ascertain whether they had NFL bodies, whether they could process quickly enough, whether they were dedicated enough to play the position at a high level in the NFL. As we got to about last Saturday, the workouts had just finished. We worked each player out individually back to back. There was a wide gulf, and it was pretty clear that Peyton was our guy, based on stellar ability to process, incredible work ethic, and believe it or not, really a better arm than Ryan Leaf, which was a surprise to many because the cognoscenti were saying that Peyton had a weak arm and he was a product of the system, whatever that means. To this day, I don't know what that means. But the gulf was pretty wide. My sense is that as we talk about the 2 quarterbacks today, Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, that the gulf isn't that wide, that it's going to be a much more difficult and closer call.